Ari, this is a story I didn't like, so let's just get it over and done with. I have already established most of my criticisms in the previous 2 chapters. This is Amazing Spider-Man 567. This is from the Dan Slott days, but the early Dan Slott days when there were other writers on the book. And so this is by Martin Guggenheim, and it was a 3-part story that was touted as a sequel to Spider-Man's Last Hunt, and it introduced a new legacy character, another of Unterman's illegitimate children, except this time, instead of a son, it is a daughter. And that is the only original idea this really has going for it. I will have to recap some of the stuff that has happened, because there are 2 major plot beat things, and they are both things that I have nothing but vitriol towards. Unterman's daughter has kidnapped who she thinks is Spider-Man, this awful cretin of a new character. And rather than trying to dispel this notion that she is correct, Spider-Man apparently only has 1 costume, so he has decided to go and free this captive by going dressed as Daredevil. It really is a broken story, but I'll try not to repeat myself too much in this video. The artwork is decent. Phil James. It's the best thing about this story. I do find it annoying that Spider-Man would borrow Daredevil's costume and cut eye holes into it for himself. It's such a little thing to dwell on, but it is a good case point for how ill thought out the actions of this Spider-Man are. This is inconsiderate, and it shows Spider-Man as a selfish arsehole, which is what he is for the whole 10 years. Even just a minor detail like him taking Daredevil's costume and breaking it. Anyway, he is fighting Vermin Man, and I like Vermin Man. And this story is very reliant on Vermin Man to try to evoke memories of Spider-Man's Last Hunt, because the quality of this storyline sure isn't going to make anyone reminisce about a good story. Vermin Man is handled okay, even though his character was meant to be retired in the early 90s. Marvel mutated him back into Vermin Man off panel, and he became a disposable background bad guy. And this here is one of the few times he really got some spotlight. It's fine until the very end. New Unterman child, Unterman's daughter. She's not totally awful, at least not yet. They make her unbearable after this story arc. The only thing really hurting her is that this has all been done before. We've had plenty of children of Unterman, and we've had... By the way, right, if Spider-Man has only got 1 costume, if he only has 1 costume after all these years, Does that also mean Daredevil only has one costume as well? Because Spider-Man cut holes into it. Right, so I can't do this without bringing this up again. It makes no sense. Spider-Man is doing everything possible to make Unterman's daughter believe that this other person that she has wrongly identified as being Spider-Man is definitely Spider-Man. This is such a broken plot. And again, it's a sort of ill thought out thing that reflects badly on Spider-Man. It makes him look like a selfish idiot again. I do love this cover though, this Junior one. Shame that it is for a Dan Slott comic, written by Dan Slott. The problem here is, it is hard to take Unterman's daughter seriously when the only thing she has really done in this story is come to the wrong conclusion about Summit. Even though we saw her, like, run over people and openly fire at people with bullets from a sniper rifle, the thing that is very prevalent is that she spent all her time trying to deduce Spider-Man's secret identity, and she came up with the incorrect answer. I said last time, everything wrong with this story, every single broken aspect, they all suspiciously revolve around that douchebag who she thinks is Spider-Man, and I really am starting to think that he was in some way forced into the story, or that there was some editorial mandate that all these new supporting characters be included in all the stories going forward. Because Amazing Spider-Man, it was being written by committee at this point. This one is a Martin Juju Aime story, but there was a group of writers in charge of the direction of the book. There was him, there was Dan Slott, Martin Quaid, and so on. And what probably happened was they were in a writers' meeting and someone suggested doing a sequel to Spider-Man's Last Hunt. And then Martin Juju Jaime, he maybe went, how about we give Unterman a daughter who is out for Spider-Man's blood? And Martin Quaid probably went, let's make her a teenager. And then someone else, probably Bob Jale, he went, can we have Spider-Man wear Daredevil's costume for a bit? And then they started thinking out this story and working out what would happen. And they had about 70% of it developed. And then an editor went, but how can we work one of these new supporting characters into it? The inclusion of the douchebag is a total detriment to the story and a total detriment to anything this story could have gone for it. Unterman's daughter, she is made to look dumb from the get-go because of him. Spider-Man is made to look ineffective because he only has one costume and he has to borrow Daredevil's costume. Spider-Man, he is made to look ridiculously dense and selfish with all this stuff with him not convincing Unterman's daughter that the douchebag isn't actually Spider-Man. He doesn't even say to her at any point that she has the wrong man or that she has made a mistake. He just full on pretends to be Daredevil, and he refers to the douchebag as Spider-Man, and awful, right? And this tenure on Spider-Man, which began with Spider-Man selling his marriage to his best pal Satan, it manages to continue that level of poorly representing Spider-Man at every avenue. So they leave Unterman's daughter in the sewers to be viciously mauled by Vermin Man, and that is out of character for Spider-Man. But whatever, the story doesn't end here. Instead, we get some dumb shite with the supporting cast, and then the douchebag punches Spider-Man because these supremely arrogant writers truly believe that people gravitate towards this douchebag or his douchebag sister or any of the other insufferable new douchebag characters they introduced. They think people are into those douchebag characters and think that Spider-Man is a twat who needs a slap. Anyway, Vermin Man, he didn't kill Unterman's daughter. He got beat by her off panel. Because you see, Unterman's daughter, she has a mum, and they won't get back to this for years. And when they do, it is total hogwash. Hogwash is a good word. Never used that before, I didn't think. It describes this well. Hogwash. It is a poor story masquerading as a story with some potential. Didn't read it. Didn't read anything from this Dan Slott era of Spider-Man. They never understood Peter Parker. They never understood Spider-Man. They thought he was some mopey, annoying jackass who needs punching rather than a decent person with overwhelming empathy. 7 thumbs up.